What's up, horror community? I'm Stock, and in today's video, we are going to be talking about Scream 6. And I saw this movie on Thursday night. The official release date was Friday. I saw it on the Thursday. And in this video, it's going to be a little bit, I guess, of a kind of review, but it's just going to be me talking about my thoughts on this movie. I will also say it's spoiler in the title because I'm just going to talk about whatever I liked. I'm not going to, hide anything. This is just a full on. So if you saw the movie, watch this video. But guys, I've talked about it in my other videos. I was kind of nervous going into this movie, going into the sixth Scream, because this is a franchise that I feel like personally has no bad ones. It's got no bad apple in the series, which is hard to do, especially in a horror franchise. I felt like all 5 movies of Scream, even though flawed, were all at least good, at the very least, in my personal opinion. So I was nervous. I was nervous going into the 6th one, of course, because it is the 6th film in the franchise, which means you're getting kind of hefty 6 movies in. And not only that, but in this one, you don't have the original 3 anymore. So this is the first time you don't have the original 3 in the movie since the original. And who I'm talking about here is Dewey, Sidney, and Gale. And in this film, the 6th installment, you only had Gale because obviously Dewey was killed off in the last film and Sidney couldn't be in it for her own reasons. So in this one, we only had Gale, so that was weird too. But we went into it, and my official verdict on this movie is, I thought that Scream 6 was a barn burner of a movie, because Scream 6 was a barn burner. Yes, guys, I absolutely love Scream 6. It is an overall a 9 out of 10 for me personally. Yes, there was a little bit of things that I didn't like so much that they did in it, but the good, the positives that I felt with this movie completely destroys the negatives. So this is a 9 out of 10 for me personally. And first things first that I gotta say about my experience is I'm already so looking forward to rewatching it, which is already a massive point for me personally. If I'm already super excited to rewatch something, that means it did something right for me. Literally, as soon as I finished this movie and I walked out the theater, I already can't wait to see it again. Massive point. Also, it is a 2-hour movie, and this movie flew. Like, it went so fast for me. Like, sometimes 2-hour movies can drag like hell. It can feel super long. I could be like fidgety in my seat and kind of like, okay, checking the time, like, is it almost over? This movie, I couldn't even tell you that it was 2 hours. Like, it completely flew, and that's because of how entertaining it was for me personally. I was super engaged throughout the entire movie, super into all the characters and the story and everything in between, and that is a massive point for me. I'm gonna kind of go through the movie a little bit. I think there's just so many things I liked in this one, so it's gonna be really hard for me to hit everything, but I'm going to try to remember. And also, I only have one watch under my belt right now. I usually like to talk about a movie once I have like a rewatch and more time under it, but since it's Scream 6 week, since everybody's talking about it, I gotta make this video. I gotta give my thoughts, and I will kind of just go through it with some of the key points that I really loved. First of all, the opening. I thought the opening was super unique. So again, this is a spoiler talk. In the opening, they basically had a kill, which like they always start a Scream with, but they had a Ghostface killer that was a Ghostface killer, but it was completely outdone by a different higher tiered Ghostface killer that ended up killing that Ghostface. So the opening kill was literally Ghostface killing Ghostface. So come on, like, that is unique as hell. I thought it really worked. It threw me off like when I first saw it, and I'm like, whoa, wait, what? Because when the first Ghostface does his first kill, he unmasks himself, so you're like, what the hell? Like, that's weird. That usually happens at the end of the movie. But obviously it went into the other Ghostface killing him. So you're 6 movies in. I feel like you can't make it even more unique than all the other openings, but they did it somehow, and they still continue to do that throughout all these movies. I always love the opening. Besides Scream 4. Scream 4 is an for me, but every other opening I really love, and this one, once again, was a home run for me personally with the difference and how well it worked. I gotta address, like I said in the opening here, how the The iconic trio, the Scream 3, were not in this movie. Like I said, it was only Gale, and that kind of, you know, raises eyebrows for people. Like, how is it going to work? Is the charm still going to be there? And I could speak for me personally, and it was absolutely still there. And I credit that massively to, if you've seen Scream 6, you know what I'm talking about, the core 4. And I thought these 4 were fantastic. These 4 characters that were lived on from Scream 5. So you had Sam, Tara, Chad, and Mindy, who lived on from Scream 5. And in Scream 5, don't get me wrong, like, I really liked them a lot. Like, I thought they were great new characters. They really served their purpose well. But in Scream 6, like, you really feel like this family bond between these 4 characters. You really want to root for them. You feel their past trauma. You feel their struggles. And like I said, you feel that family aspect starting to grow with those characters. And me personally, I know this might sound crazy, but I get a lot of vibes of the old Scream family of like Dewey, Gale, Sidney, Randy in the first 2 films. Like that family that was going through all the Ghostface stuff together and the trauma and all that kind of stuff. I feel that a lot with the core 4. And they just, God, they really stepped it up. You really didn't need the iconic characters in this movie. And that's so nuts to say. I never thought I'd say that, but how good they were in this is like, you almost don't need them. Like, don't get me wrong, I love that Gale is still in it, and I hope Sidney comes back for Scream 7. And I'm still sad that Dewey's gone. Don't get me wrong on that. But say that they weren't in it whatsoever, I think these 4 could still carry this franchise going forward. And that is huge. That is very big. Also, spoiler alert, they all end up living this movie, and I'm super happy about that. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, I love these characters. They can carry the franchise, but here goes where a little bit of a negative is, and that is how like Mindy and Chad, like, they get destroyed by Ghostface in this movie. Like, they get wrecked by him, like stabbed so many times, like, and they somehow lived. Like, I don't know how. Like, I understand horror movie magic of what you could kind of bend the rules and live with. I know Dewey, for example, has been through so much crap, and he lived through all the movies, especially him in like Scream 2, for example, and he was getting stabbed in his back and all that kind of stuff up against the glass. He ended up being like wheeled out at the end, and he was alive. But this was like extreme. Like, if you've seen Scream 6, like, especially Chad, when he's like, he's getting stabbed a million times, I'm like, okay, he's still alive. He gets wheeled out like Dewey. It's like a tribute to like Dewey in Scream 2. It reminded me of that because he gets wheeled out at the end. Oh, hey, we got a survivor. He gets wheeled out near the end, which I was super happy with because Chad was freaking fantastic in this movie. He was such a step up from the last one, and now I appreciate him more in the last one because how much I liked him in this one. So don't get me wrong, like, I'm happy he's alive, but like, there's just like, damn, like, how the hell they live that? Like, this was brutal. Like, how those 2 characters were able to survive this kind of raises an eyebrow. Me personally, it doesn't bother me too much. I see a lot of people that it like bothers the hell out of them. For me, it's like I can understand why it bothers you, but it's not enough to bother me whatsoever. Like, I get it. It's a bit of a downfall. If I had to pick a negative and why it's a 9 out of 10, that's one of the reasons why I don't give it a 10 out of 10. But in the grand scheme, it doesn't bother me. At the end of the day, it's horror movies. It's horror magic, bend the rules and whatnot, but they could have eased up a little bit on the stabbings that those 2 took. I want to talk about how they completely showed so much respect and love towards the entire franchise in this movie. They did such an awesome job of paying tributes to all like the past films and characters. Even the old Ghostface killers, which I absolutely loved. Like, there's a scene where they show a chart of like all the Ghostface killers and they're going through them all, and like it's awesome. Like, even like when they mentioned Mickey, for example, like, I was like so hyped, and I'm like, yes, he's getting mentioned, because like he never gets mentioned. So like that scene was really cool for me. I really love seeing like all the because like sometimes you forget, like, this is all one story. Like, it's freaking awesome that it's been going on since '96. So you see that chart and all these characters. It's so cool that they were able to do that. And then there's a lot of times they tribute the series, but the thing they did massively in this was the whole shrine. They had a whole Scream Stab for the Movies shrine of like all of the past Scream 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And they had just pieces of everyone, pieces of the ex-Ghostface killers, pieces of the people we lost throughout the series, and like That was so cool. Like I couldn't even pick up everything that was in that shot until I rewatch it and stuff like that. But like I was like, damn, this is awesome. Like for example, you saw like Randy's like shirt from the DVD store he worked at back then. You could see like Billy Lewis's bloody white t-shirt. You could see the TV from Stu. You got like a little tribute to Dewey and like drawings of him and whatnot, and like a badge. Just a lot of cool stuff. I loved seeing that. Like that was like eye-opening as freaking hell. Super unique, super cool, and definitely one of my favorite parts of Scream 6. But God, it was such a stacked movie. There's so many cool elements, but that gotta be one of the best. As for the new characters introduced in this, not counting the characters from Scream 5 that lived on to 6, I'm talking about completely fresh faces in this movie. None of them really did it for me personally. They're all kind of whatever. The only one that did do it for me was the character Danny, which was the neighbor boyfriend of Sam, and like he did like little stuff, like very subtle stuff, but I thought he was a great piece to like the group. He was like a very clueless, like kind of being filled in on everything as it was going on, and he was obviously not evil. He was actually genuine, a good person, and he survived, so he goes into Scream 7. I liked him. He was a good addition. The rest kind of for me. The rest kind of just didn't really stand out to me, but he was good. And the Ghostface Killer, I'd have to honestly look back on the names because I'm not that fresh on to be honest with you guys, I'm not that fresh on all the names. Like I just saw it one time in theater. But yeah, the guy who was revealed, the cop, detective, I don't know his name, but he was okay too. But his two kids were like for me. But he was pretty good. I gotta talk about Gale in this movie, and the biggest thing when it comes to Gale in this movie was her whole fight scene with Ghostface. And that scene, guys, was a barn burner for sure. That scene had my tension super high, like a 10 out of 10. I was stressing hard. It was giving me vibes of Dewey in the last movie and how I felt in theaters when I was like, oh no way are they gonna kill this character off. In 5, they did. They killed Dewey. Ghostface got him. But in 6, Gale survived somehow. She's still alive in this story, but that whole scene of her and Ghostface was just awesome on all cylinders. Like, it was such a fantastic scene. I really liked it. She was finally able to have a conversation with Ghostface on the phone, which never has happened throughout any of the movies. She got a call from Ghostface in Scream 2, but Randy ends up picking up the phone for her, which led to Randy's death. But yeah, that's the first time you really see her talk to him, and she's dissing him, like, you know how many of ghost faces I've survived from and all this kind of stuff. Great exchange. And then when they actually like fight each other, just like I said, like the tension is super high. It's just awesome fight. And I liked seeing her live. I was very happy to see her live because I was like, no, you can't kill this one. Like, I know I just said, contradicting myself, I know I just said you don't need these characters anymore, but I still don't want to see her die. I want to see her still be alive and like still go through this story with these awesome new characters. It's such a cool blend of like two different generations of Scream. But yes, very happy to see her survive going into 7, but that scene was awesome. Also, of course, I loved every single time Gale tributed Dewey. Every time she would mention him or something, there's very sadness in the air. You could tell she's still super affected by it, and I love that because the bond and chemistry between those two in the Scream films is better than any other bond in Scream by a long shot for sure. Like, that is the best chemistry. And I really liked this is a small little detail, but I picked up on it because I love Dewey. And it is one of the scenes where Gale is talking about him and losing him, and his theme plays. Dewey's theme plays from Scream 2. They brought it back also in Scream 5, when he comes and helps everyone. They play it there. But they played it again here, and it was very emotional, hit very right, and I loved seeing that. Of course, I also got to address Kirby from Scream 4, and she was really good too in this. I really liked her return. I thought it worked really well. She was kind of the choice near the end of like, oh, she's supposed to be the big, killer, but I didn't believe that for a second. I didn't think she was the killer, but she was a really cool addition. I liked every time she saw something Scream 4 related, it resonated with her. I like her comments to other Scream survivors and like how she relates to them with their trauma and their past. And I like that she lived on too. So you have a really cool, blend of characters here of like Scream 5, You got Scream 5 survivors, Scream 4, and then you got Gale who survived them all. Like, you have them all teamed up. It's like crazy as hell. And then you even like someone like Danny in Scream 6 who got introduced there. So you have like all these other Scream movie survivors, and they're all blended into this one group. So like this group is becoming super powerful for me, and that's another reason. This kind of just put me on a tangent here, but this is another reason why I'm so excited for Scream 7 already, because like this is such a freaking awesome group. It's so cool to see like all these different people who survived different Ghostface killers, and now they're all kind of working together. It's cool. I also like how Kirby and Minnie had a little horror talk, because they're both like horror fanatics. So I like seeing that they gave, I wish it was more of it, but I like that they gave him that. And if you caught on it, in that conversation, they said, they looked at the TV, hey, people think Stu Macher's still alive, and they were like, do you think he's still alive? So the question is in the air, all right? So Stu is still a possibility for him to still be alive. I'm not giving up hope yet. Stu Macher for Scream 7. No, but in all seriousness, I do think Stu has a chance for Scream 7. I know people are gonna go like, are you freaking nuts, dude? But like, I don't know. I have a hunch that he's gonna be in 7. I just don't give up. I just don't exit out yet. I feel like it's still a possibility, especially with that question in Scream 6 and leaving it up in the air. Do you think he's still alive? I don't know. It throws it out there. And I have this crazy theory where I think Scream 7 is going to be Sam and Stu. I think it's going to be Stu for sure, which is nuts. I know. I could be completely wrong, but I think it's definitely going to be Stu in some way. But I want to see, and I think it's possible that it's going to be Sam and Stu, because first of all, it would be Stu coming back with Billy Loomis's daughter. So without Billy here, his original partner, who better? His own daughter. So you get Stu and Sam teaming up, 2 different generations. How awesome would that be? And also, Sam's been built up to have this rage in her since 5, since getting the flashbacks of her dad Billy like telling her to you know, kill and do all this stuff. So you have this build up, and it's just perfect. Like, who better for her to team up with too? Like the original Ghostface that teamed up with her dad, and then like I said, for Stu, it's Billy's daughter. Like, it's perfect. And then I think that those two, ooh man, I think that'd be like the pitch perfect way to end the Scream franchise. Like, if you were to end it there, like that is the way to go. And then I have another weird theory on the whole Stu thing. And why I think it's him is because I feel like 5, 6, and now 7 that will be released is kind of like remade in ways of Scream 1, 2, and 3. Because in Scream 1 and Scream 5, the endings are super similar. Stu's kitchen, you know, the 2 killers, they modeled themselves to be like Billy and Stu a lot, the way Amber and Richie were. A lot of similarities there. In Scream 2 and then in Scream 6, a lot of theater aspects like that, very similar to the killers. Into also with Mrs. Loomis trying to avenge her son. Then you got Richie's father and family trying to avenge their son. So you have similarities. Then you go into Scream 3, Scream 7, and my thing here is, I'm not talking about Roman in Scream 3. I'm saying the original idea for Scream 3 was Stu. Like, that was the idea. He was supposed to be brought back for it, and something happened. There was a real life thing that made it scrapped. But that was supposed to be the plan, so they could rewrite history here and have it actually be Stu coming back for this killer. That's a crazy theory of mine, but it's also another one that I could see them doing. So, Scream 7, my prediction for Ghostface Killer is Stu Macher. I don't know who's going to be teaming up with. I'd love to see it be Sam, but I think in some way, Stu's coming back in 7. Don't kill me if he doesn't, but I think he will. I'm just all over the place. There's also, in this movie that I love, was Ghostface himself, like in the mask. So Richie's family members, they were legitimately wearing Stu's mask from 1996, like the weathered mask and stuff like that, which was such a badass look. Like, I loved it so much, and I loved that Ghostface in mask. I loved his kills. I loved how brutal he was. The whole shotgun scene in the gas station was freaking awesome. That Ghostface, just the visuals he provided and all that kind of stuff was great. Fantastic. One of my favorites in Mask. Now that's making me want to talk about the reveal at the end, and on this one, it's not my highest aspect. It's another reason why it's not a 10 out of 10 for me. I think it will grow on me with rewatches and time itself and looking more into it. But I don't know, like, I like it, like, it makes perfect sense. Richie's 3 family members, it's the first ever time you have 3 Ghostface killers, which is really cool. I always like a change up, other than 2 killers, which is the most common. I like that, but, like, I don't know, like, the killers were just kind of weak for me in a lot of ways. I don't hate it at all. I think it could grow on me. Richie's dad is probably the best part of that group of those 3, but the other 2 were very lackluster for me. But I can see them growing on me, like I said. Like, they're not the worst in the world, but they're far, far from anything, like, spectacular. So that's another reason why it's not a 10 out of 10 for me, but it was okay. All in all, guys, this movie was a freaking barn burner. It was a roller coaster of a movie. It made me feel so much emotion, and it was another fantastic entry into the Scream series. And I just love to see that. You love to see it, because Scream, once again, just lives on to be that franchise in horror. And, like, movies in general, if you have that many movies, like, that has all good movies. And I'm just so, like I said, so happy to see that continue. I'm already, like I said, so amped up for Scream 7. I'm so excited for it. But, yeah, Scream 6 was awesome. Can't wait to rewatch it. Can't wait to talk about it more. And put these Ghostface killers and this movie and aspects of Scream 6 into my overall Scream rankings. It's exciting. It's still surreal that we have 2 new Scream movies in the last 2 years, because we went so long with the story being 1 through 4. So it's really cool to see that. I'm loving these new entries. I love 5. I love 6 now. This whole new, if they do a trilogy and end it at 7, this whole thing has been awesome. Better than Halloween's. But guys, we're going to talk more about Scream, don't worry. But guys, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Horror 31st.